Silicon chips power everything from our smartphones to fighter jets, but they've become the battleground for the most consequential technological confrontation of our lifetime. What began as industrial policy has escalated into a full-scale economic war, with global implications for every technological innovation coming in the next decade. The stakes couldn't be higher. Whoever controls the advanced semiconductor supply chain controls the future of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and military superiority. In October 2022, the Biden administration issued what amounted to a technological ultimatum to China. Abandon your ambitions in advanced semiconductor manufacturing or face complete isolation from the global chip ecosystem. The Export Control Review Group, a secretive interagency body within the US government, authorized the most aggressive restrictions on technology transfer in modern history. It restricted not only American companies from selling advanced chip manufacturing equipment to China, but also pressured allies to follow suit. But to understand why this matters, we need to grasp the scale of this industry. According to the Semiconductor Industry Association, the global chip market reached $627.6 billion in 2024, growing 19.1% from the previous year, and is projected to hit $1 trillion by 2030. Semiconductor Industry Association. This isn't just about economic competition, it's about technological sovereignty. Every advanced nation now recognizes that without domestic chip manufacturing capability, its economic and military security is fundamentally compromised. You might ask why chips matter so much. The answer is simple. Semiconductors are the oil of the digital age. They're the foundational building blocks for everything from smartphones to missiles, from cloud servers to autonomous vehicles. The global semiconductor supply chain is exceptionally complex, involving thousands of steps across dozens of countries. But one company sits at the absolute pinnacle of this industry, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC. TSMC isn't just dominant, it's nearly monopolistic. In 2024, the company controlled 67.1% of the global foundry market, including a staggering 90% market share in the most advanced chips below 7 nanometers. Tech in Asia. And where exactly is TSMC? On an island just 100 miles from mainland China, an island China claims as its own territory. If this sounds like a geopolitical powder keg, that's because it absolutely is. The US isn't pursuing this technological containment strategy for purely security reasons. There are powerful economic incentives at work. Not long ago, the United States manufactured 37% of the world's semiconductors. Today, that number has plunged to just 12%. Meanwhile, East Asia produces 75% of global semiconductors and nearly 100% of the most advanced chips. CSIS. To reverse this trend, Congress passed the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022, allocating an unprecedented $52.7 billion to rebuild America's semiconductor manufacturing base. As of 2024, the Commerce Department has announced over $30 billion in proposed investments spanning 23 projects across 15 states. Commerce Department. But here's where it gets interesting. The CHIPS Act isn't just about bringing manufacturing back to America. It's explicitly designed to prevent China from catching up. Companies receiving CHIPS Act funding are prohibited from expanding advanced semiconductor manufacturing in China for 10 years. This is where industrial policy meets national security, in a way we haven't seen since the Cold War. The Biden administration didn't just want to boost American manufacturing. It wanted to actively prevent China from advancing. China, meanwhile, isn't sitting idle. Its National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, colloquially known as the Big Fund, launched its third phase in May 2024 with a massive $47.5 billion war chest dedicated to semiconductor development. Reuters. This isn't just a matter of pride or economic growth for Beijing. China's 14th five-year plan explicitly identifies semiconductors as a strategic technology priority requiring a whole-of-society effort to achieve self-reliance. SA White Paper. Here's where the story gets even more complicated. The US isn't acting alone in its restrictions on China. It's assembled what amounts to a semiconductor alliance. In January 2023, after intense diplomatic pressure, Japan and the Netherlands agreed to join US-led efforts to restrict China's access to advanced chip manufacturing equipment. This was crucial because the Netherlands is home to ASML, the only company in the world capable of making the extreme ultraviolet EUV lithography machines needed for producing the most advanced chips, CIS. But here's the contradiction. The same companies championing these restrictions are simultaneously dependent on the Chinese market. For NVIDIA, Chinese customers accounted for billions in revenue until recent restrictions. For Intel and Qualcomm, China represents one of their largest markets. These companies aren't pushing for decoupling, they're being forced into it. This isn't just a theory. In May 2025, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang described the Trump administration's ban on selling H20 chips to China as deeply painful, costing the company an estimated $15 billion in sales. Yahoo Finance. The US positioning is not just about national security. It's not about freedom versus authoritarianism. It's about maintaining technological supremacy at all costs. And China knows this. Not that China's position is any less contradictory. Beijing champions global free trade when it benefits them, but has spent decades protecting its domestic market while demanding technology transfers from foreign companies. Their Made in China 2025 plan was explicit about replacing foreign technology with domestic alternatives, not competing on a level playing field, but capturing entire supply chains. China's strategy is fundamentally about reducing dependence on Western technology. Its leaders saw what happened to Huawei when the US cut off its chip supply, and they're determined never to be vulnerable again. This US-China chip war isn't happening in isolation. It's creating seismic shifts across the global economy and forcing other nations to choose sides in ways they'd rather avoid. Take Taiwan. TSMC finds itself in an impossible position, caught between its most significant market, China, its security guarantor, the United States, and its technological partners, Japan, South Korea, and Europe. When the US demanded that TSMC stop selling advanced chips to Huawei in 2020, the company complied, but at enormous cost to its business relationships in China. South Korea faces a similar dilemma. Samsung and SK Hynix are global semiconductor powerhouses that depend heavily on both the Chinese market and American technology. Every new restriction forces them to perform an increasingly difficult balancing act. Europe, meanwhile, is trying to chart its path with the European Chips Act, investing 43 billion euros to rebuild its semiconductor manufacturing capacity. But European companies like ASML are being forced to choose sides in ways that undermine their commercial interests. CSIS. The result is a fragmentation of what was once a truly global industry. We're seeing the emergence of two parallel tech ecosystems, one led by the United States and its allies, and the other centered around China. The costs of this bifurcation are enormous. According to the Semiconductor Industry Association, a complete decoupling of US and Chinese tech ecosystems would cost American companies $80 billion in lost sales, threaten 124,000 American jobs, and compromise US technological leadership. Yet despite these costs, the momentum toward separation continues to build. In April 2025, the US government expanded restrictions on NVIDIA's AI chips to China, including the H20 model specifically designed to comply with previous export controls. Reuters. The big question now is, will these restrictions actually work? History suggests that technology containment has severe limitations. China has already demonstrated its resilience. In 2023, Huawei shocked the world by releasing its Mate 60 Pro smartphone, featuring a domestically produced 7nm processor, something US officials had thought impossible under existing sanctions. This technological breakthrough came directly from SMIC, China's leading chip manufacturer. Washington Post. While China remains years behind the cutting edge in some aspects of semiconductor manufacturing, it's not because of a lack of effort or resources. The country's Big Fund 3, with its $47.5 billion investment, represents just one part of a massive national mobilization to achieve semiconductor self-sufficiency. The diplomat. The US strategy is analogous to building a dam to hold back the technological development of the world's second largest economy. It might work temporarily, but the pressure will eventually find release, whether through legitimate breakthroughs, industrial espionage, or alternative technological pathways. We're not just seeing a competition between two countries, we're witnessing the re-architecting of the global technology landscape. The seamless global innovation ecosystem that produced so much technological progress over the past 3 decades is fragmenting before our eyes. This isn't just about who will build better chips. It's about the future of technological innovation itself. Will progress slow as resources are duplicated and markets are segregated? Or will competition between these rival ecosystems actually accelerate innovation through different approaches? The chip war between the US and China represents not just a competition over a strategic industry, but a fundamental clash of visions for the future of technology and its role in society. The United States is determined to maintain its technological leadership at any cost, viewing advanced semiconductor capability as essential to its economic and military security. China is equally determined to achieve technological self-sufficiency, seeing dependence on Western technology as an unacceptable vulnerability. The rest of the world is increasingly forced to choose sides in a conflict it didn't create and doesn't benefit from. The resulting fragmentations threaten to undo decades of globalization, which made advanced technologies more accessible and affordable worldwide. So what happens next? Will the world divide into separate technological ecosystems with incompatible standards and supply chains? Or will economic pragmatism eventually reassert itself and find a middle path that allows for competition without complete decoupling? And perhaps most importantly, what does this mean for you? How will the outcomes of this technological Cold War reshape the devices you use, the prices you pay, and even the career options available to the next generation? If you found this analysis valuable, help it reach more people by liking and subscribing, and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe technological decoupling between the US and China is inevitable? Or is there still a path toward coexistence and healthy competition? This is just the beginning of a technological rivalry that will define the 21st century. Understanding the stakes has never been more critical. Thanks for watching.